Levi, listen, I met you and you appeared, you did some work with us. The next thing I know, it was like, man, the work you did was so fabulous that day at the execution event. And man, I was like, man, who is this guy? And I was like, I just was fascinated by it. You know what I'm saying? So then I see you doing all this work in the community. Like, why is it so important for you to do this freelance type journalism? Like,
So I would say a lot of it is really because I really enjoy doing it. I think it's funny. You met me about 6 months ago,
yeah,
and essentially for my entire adult life since 2018, I've been quote unquote a successful entrepreneur. And at that moment was the day you met me was about the last day I owned my business. Like
oh,
5 days later,
okay,
I essentially sold my business for pennies on the dollar because you met me on crutches. You know what I mean?
right, right,
So that was after, one thing after another happened in one of my longest standing businesses. And ever since then, I essentially have had almost nothing. And I really wanted to fall into something that I really enjoy doing before going to my next business.
okay.
And I really like having conversation. I really like making content. And that's going to be part of it.
So, what is the overall goal? What is your vision with this?
So, my vision is my goal is more rooted to like execution in the process and rather than like an end goal. To me, a successful goal is for me to be able to do what I love
Right.
until I die. That's my goal.
Okay.
Um, there's some other things that I'm working towards that I intentionally make these goals incredibly hard to achieve because I never want to finish. I don't want to be done.
Mm, mm.
One of those is having a deep impact for global communication. I speak a lot about global auxiliary language and how useful that would be.
What is
And
that exactly? Like, what is
so,
global auxiliary language? What is?
a global auxiliary language is essentially an auxiliary language for the world. So, if two people meet and they have a different native language and they can't communicate, they would fall back on an auxiliary language. My personal conviction is that if we collectively, as like a society, like the world, if we actually got on the same page and we created or chose an auxiliary language, I believe it's one of the most impactful things that we could ever do collectively as human beings.
So again, for the individual who does it, who can't understand, what would auxiliary mean as far as language?
So auxiliary is like I don't know what the
The
dictionary definition
term?
of auxiliary is,
Okay.
but it's like an option, right? So like if
Right.
you back when we had cars, you could listen to the radio, but an auxiliary option is an aux cord, the auxiliary option to
Okay.
play music.
I got you.
So in
Okay.
auxiliary languages, let's say we speak English and
Right.
we went over there to somewhere in South America where they speak Spanish. We
Yes,
didn't
sir.
know Spanish.
Sir.
There's an auxiliary global language that we have all chosen to learn as like the
The
world
world would
language.
learn. I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and essentially that language would be extremely easy to learn. Didn't have all these absurd irregularities that most modern languages have. I would say most all languages in existence have. Um, and that's what I did. So for the past 3 or 4 months, I dedicated quite a bit of time to learning one of the most successful auxiliary languages that exists,
And what
uh,
language is that?
Esperanto. Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Spanish. Yeah.
Well, it's not Spanish. It definitely has a lot of cognates with Spanish. It really looks like a lot of European languages as well. Even like Spanish has tons of irregularities in that language as well. Esperanto has, almost none.
So what? A lot of people would say that about English.
Well, number
You know.
one, so I don't necessarily. This is a very good point, by the way. I never really tried to endorse Esperanto as the end all solution. Maybe it's not. If the whole world decided to learn English and we all successfully did it, I would say great, problem
Right.
solved.
Right.
But the
Right.
reality is that 20%
That's not gonna.
20% of the world, and I don't even want to say it won't happen.
Yeah.
Maybe it will happen.
Yeah.
Maybe it will, and I hope it does.
Okay.
Because the grand scope of things is that I just want the world to be able to communicate with each other, the whole world. So if the whole world learned English, great, problem solved. But really, Esperanto is an answer to a lot of the criticisms of that. You know what I mean? A lot of people learned English because it was a tool to make money. It was motivated by like an economy
Yes.
or political power or something
Right.
like
Right.
that.
Right.
But something that people could learn just because they have the desire to communicate with people and something that was designed with a bit of common sense when building the
Cool.
language.
Cool. I like that, man.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to those people who say, "Man, what are you wasting your time interviewing these homeless people, these people out here who have done nothing with their lives?" What would you say to these people who say these, foolish statements?
I feel like you can never waste time if you're doing something that you like. And I feel
Well,
like you can't waste time unless you believe that your time is more valuable than somebody else's. If you're sharing a moment with somebody else.
okay.
And this is what I would do to enjoy myself. People that like going and playing football or something, this is my version of going and playing football. I love talking to people.
Yeah, yeah. Hearing
I
people's stories
you know,
and them sharing their yeah.
it's like me going to a basketball game and saying they're wasting their time for playing basketball. Like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, with all that you're doing now, what do you say is the major project that you overall want to succeed in, to be impactful, to help others?
So it definitely is with media and podcasting because, with my goal with global communication, no one's really listening to me yet. Nobody really values my opinion, and I feel like I have to earn
I don't
that
believe,
attention.
no, there are people who value your opinion, right?
Well, I need for this to really work. I need entire countries behind what I'm saying.
Right,
And that's actually why I started the NFK podcast as well. I want the world behind something. I need countries behind something. I need cities and states behind me. I need individuals behind me. So I'm going all the way back to the individual level.
Okay.
And there's a lot of these conversations where I have,
Right.
where we talk about that issue.
How long have you been a native of Norfolk, Virginia?
I was born in DePaul Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And but I spent most of my childhood in Suffolk, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
And I
Cool.
came here right after high school.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool, cool. So now that you out and you're doing your thing, what do you think are some of the things that you most are drawn to? Like, is there something particular that you look for when you're interviewing people? Like, what is it that you're looking for?
So I've really kind of gotten a knack for seeing who would be interested in having a conversation, and it just seems to be people that are observant. So a lot of times when I see people that are alone in a park, that's usually who I would approach. If I see someone
Okay.
sitting alone at a park
Okay.
bench, if they're looking out into the world and they're not just trapped in their phone, I just feel like they are curious by nature, and they
Okay.
a lot of times they have something to say to the world. And even, I can be wrong, but the thing about it is if 60-80% of people say no, I just find someone that will say yes.
Wow, man.
But I want to have a conversation with anybody that's willing to. So they could have extreme opinions. They could be someone that disagrees with everything I believe in. As long as we can have a respectful conversation, I'm happy.
Yeah, Community United Focus Men's Group, Point of Impact, our podcast is which we call Point of Impact Raw. I see a lot of what you do and how you do it. I see a lot of that in us and how we move.
Yeah.
In the 5 years I've been doing live streaming and things like that, I pretty much have that same particular method. I look for specific people who I feel are concentrated in the issue. How do you, in 5 years from now, how do you see yourself being impactful with what you're doing now?
I don't like to speculate. I just know that in 5 years I'm going to be working just as hard, if not harder.
Oh, I like that.
I would really like to be able to
I like that.
to encourage more people to take more action. That's something I want to do as well. If I have nothing to show for what I'm doing, I just hope that there's still someone looking at what I'm doing and saying, "Man, maybe I could double down on what I'm doing. Maybe I can triple down. Maybe I can do 20% more." I think several people that I've had on my podcast.
Yes, sir.
One of the first people, his name was Kevin Allen, I believe, Kenny Allen. And he was a felon. He just got out of the penitentiary 3-4 months ago, and he talked extensively on the podcast about not being able to find a job. No one's going to hire him.
Yeah.
And he told me that the advice that I gave him was just so different than anybody else, because a lot of people just said, he's wrong, blah blah blah. But I told him, I said, man, you're telling me that no one will hire you because you're a felon. Maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. But what I'm saying is you've only asked 6 people
Right,
and gave up.
right,
Go be absolutely certain that you're right. Go ask 1,000 people for a job. And if 1,000 people tell you no, maybe you are right. But go ask 1,000 people before you give up. But, I see him all the time in downtown Norfolk now. And every time he waits because he got a job. Every time he sees me in the street, he makes sure to acknowledge me.
And see, that's that.
And that's one conversation.
That's that investment I was talking to you about earlier. You know what I'm saying, and inspiring people, and why people who are in this position, they really need that support. You know what I'm saying? But you've been working with us now since May, and what is it that you see a value of Community United Focus and Men's Group that allows you to pour into us?
So, I love to say it's all value, and a huge part of it's value, but to me, it's the action that pulls me in. You guys actually do stuff. And that's the part that is drawing to me. I think there's a lot of organizations that are doing great things, have great intentions, have a great message, and I think Community United Focus is doing all of those things. But the thing that's getting me is the action and the no-nonsense, the way that you guys move.
Thank you, bro.
We're just going to do this, and then you guys show up. Today, by the way, we're recording this. We had no idea what we were going to talk about today.
Yes, right.
We just knew that we had an opportunity to speak and record it, and we took that opportunity. That's what drew me in.
Yeah, man. Well, I love you, brother, and again, you always provide great content. I'm definitely December for the Iron Sharpen Iron event. I want you to be on the panel.
You want me to speak?
Yeah, I want you to be on the panel. We're gonna have a panel of people on speaking, and you're gonna be one of the panelists.
That sounds
You know what I'm
exciting.
saying? They're going to take questions from the audience and things like that. And I know you guys are also seeing what I'm saying, but he's so insightful. You know what I'm saying? And a brother like yourself, who's actually, you're beating the concrete. You know what I'm saying? You're there in the streets talking to the people in pain, talking to the people who are succeeding, talking to the people who are failing, lifting people up. You're in there. And we got to have you on that panel to address conversation and talk and things like that about, how we as men can all come together. I think she's about to let us know we got to get ready to go.
They're kicking us out. Okay, we'll see.
No,
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah.
She likes our message, brother.
Oh.
So what is the subject matter of the panel?
The subject matter of the panel will be, Iron Sharpen Iron is an event of bringing men of Norfolk together. Nationality, race, and religion, none of that matters. We're about bringing men of Norfolk together. We're going to have maybe 4 to 5 panelists. You're one of them. We've already decided on asking you to be one of the panelists.
Nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So what would you say, how would you define iron sharpens iron?
Iron Sharpens Iron is what we're doing right here, me and you. Keeping each other sharp, lifting each other up. One of the things, I get emotional, man. A lot of people, don't know how lonely a road it is. Striving to get back on pace. Bro, you treat me like family. I don't know people who give away except for myself, because I'm a giver. You know what I'm saying? And then to meet a like-minded and heart and minded individual like yourself, it's refreshing. You know what I'm saying? And it's also almost like a security blanket, because I know I can count on you. I know I can pick up the phone and say, hey, man, I'm trying to do something. Can you help me? You know what I'm saying? And I know dropping a hat, you're going to be like, yo, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And that for me is so inspirational. On the real side, bro. I come from the streets, bro. I'm from Patterson, New Jersey. And, I grew up with cats, man, that I was willing to give my life for. But these cats, you know what I'm saying, some of them had my back and some of them didn't. You know what I'm saying? And here I am today, a grown man of 60, and I spent 2.5 decades of my life in prison. And to have brothers like you supporting what I'm doing, y'all heard the man, right? He's a successful entrepreneur. This man has had so many businesses, is ridiculous. And then to see me and support me in what I look at as my small ideas and for somebody to believe in me, and I'm a little guy on the totem pole. I appreciate it, man. And I love you, bro. You family. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. But I definitely don't want to, belittle your ambitions either. I think you have huge goals and you're taking massive action on them. So definitely don't diminish, your work either. You're doing great work.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Boom. Perhaps we can wrap that up for today. Men's Group and Community United Focus, right?
That's right. That's right. Here we are, Duffys Lane, y'all. NFK. Don't forget. Show up or be late, and then you be out of there. So you don't want to miss this. Get this while you can. Point of Impact, Community United Focus, Men's Group. We here, Duffys Lane, NFK. I love that. Duffys Lane. That's a beautiful, beautiful name.
What do you think about like the name of it too? Like, because it's the bus stop I go to. That's so cool.
Y'all know what Duffys Lane is?
Yeah.
The bus stop over in Ocean View.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone don't know, I don't have a car, so I literally ride everywhere on a bus.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
This dude totes his equipment around on a bus, just interviewing people all over Norfolk, man. Like, we got to do better. We got to get him a van.
Anyway, I appreciate y'all.
All right, bro. See y'all later.